Alright, let's go! It's another week without Tsunoni. What am I to do? I know. Unhydrate. It's out of my system. We are back with some more Monster of the Week action. And this episode starts things off by just making me feel old. Haruka's browsing through some manga on her phone when her aunt chimes in on how kids today just don't have to go through the hoops that she had to go through as a kid by having to use a payphone. Or in my instance, it would have to be using a landline and hope that no one was on the other line trying to use AOL at home, or you'd be greeted by this terrible sound. See, Haruka just can't relate, as payphones are so Showa, as she was born well into the Heisei era. Girl's like 17, right? Speaking of payphones, as things keep being modernized for today's contactless world, Japan's been doing away with them, and there is only one payphone left standing in the whole country, I think. However, the one remaining is being guarded by reused assets, the Hitotsuki. Haruka's beta-ass boyfriend starts texting her, but that's when she is summoned to join in the fight. Go on! With the Dom brothers gathered, they quickly realize that this Hitotsuki isn't physically there, as their attacks go right through them. Though, as it vanishes, Haruka notices a girl in the phone booth. Once home, she puts the pedal to the air and chugs her way back to the phone booth to meet with the girl. Shocked that someone can finally see her, she acts like a simp at a convention, getting the chance to talk to their idol, and spills way more information than needed to be heard. Noped out by the encounter, Haruka dodges the girl like the plague. The girl is called Minako, and, of course, she's a ghost. Following Haruka to her home, she makes this very clear. With no school friends, she turns to the Dom brothers for assistance. Though, their mileage only varies if they don't hold their breath, as Tsuyoshi is the first to be afraid of some ghosts. Minako has some great conversations with them and even boasts about how great her health is. But it matters not because she's dead. We get her backstory on the matter, as it turns out she had a long-distance relationship with a man named Shinzo about 50 years ago. Though they never met face to face, she has some idea on how he looks like. Tsuyoshi recalls the name sounding familiar, though the love affairs end up reaching max gushers for Minako when Taro appears. And she is all about some peaches. Then, Black Kaito acknowledges her to the sound of them panties dropping, followed by Tsubasa, which makes her ready for the doggy style. With the faucet set on overflow, she goes on dates with all three of them. Meanwhile, Sonoza is here for like 2 seconds. Whatever. Moving on. Tsuyoshi is at the office and actually manages to find the business card of the fellow Minako is looking for. But, back to those dates. Haruka checks in on Minako to get the scoop on those one-night stands. First up was Taro, who doesn't stop for anything except for food. Though, how Minako can eat physical food is beyond me, but she manages to do it. Even though she's a ghost, he also still takes her flying. Taro is just a man's man. That's why Sonoe likes him. Then there's Tsubasa. Up into the cuddly with the dogos, he notices what Minako is all about and transforms right in front of her, just to give her a piece of that bark. Though he tells her not to say anything regarding the specifics of what's going on, and I'm like, come on already, it's episode 19. Last up is Black Kaito, showing up with the goofy drip, looking like he's ready to take on a dangerous jump across the Grand Canyon. Though the sight of this drives the moms and the daughters crazy. That Minako just gets zero loving from Black Kaito. You know, I bet Rainbow Kaito would act the exact same way as well. With the dates a bust, she goes back to sulking in the phone booth. That final phone call from Shinzo being exactly what she needs to move on. Tsuyoshi, coming in clutch, manages to get a hold of the real Shinzo, and it's Kakashi's voice actor from Naruto. Though he is the man that Minako is looking for, it's been 50 years. She doesn't want this old ass dude. She wants that Animu guy that she drew. Well, what a better way to put a voice to a picture than with a voice actor. He calls the phone booth and they share a heartfelt moment, with her apologizing for being hit by a car during that intended day. Though like clockwork, the phone booth police show up to take it all down. It's revealed then and there that Minako was the Hitotsuki the whole time. Being forced to fight her, the Danbros' escalation of the battle really seems like a non-factor. Speaking of non-factors, Jiro shows up to help, but that's when inanimate object and overhyped enemy that turned out to be absolutely just a waste of time, Dan Murasame shows up to distract him. As mentioned, even going into Robotaro's, nothing they do seems to work against this Hitotsuki. And it comes down to Minako finally having the conversation with Shinzo that leads to her surrender. With Minako gone, Haruka reflects on what a real relationship is, all to the annoyance of the spam text from her Beta ex-boyfriend. Opting to call him instead, it turns out being Beta's mom the whole time. See, so this is really just your standard Monster of the Week episode, and it was just here to just serve as additional padding. In terms of overall plot, nothing was really gained or lost. With that being said, what we got was ultimately not terrible, and was just another good episode. So it's just really getting a solid B. The story of Minako, though endearing and full of wacky routes to the end of the destination, was just there. Now, there is a very important scene, I guess, in here, and it was a one-off. And that involves Sonoza. And I kind of want to know what it's setting up, since the manga he picks up is actually the one written by Haruka. So, will the pairing for Sonoza end up being Haruka? That is absolutely not a best match, but who knows? Okay, elephant in the room. Is it just me, or is anyone else already bored with Dan Murasame? 2 episodes in, I care nothing about this dude. He's just showing up, getting beat, and leaving. Nothing of substance is going on with this guy, and we're starting to flounder here when it comes to plot. As with more Monster of the Week stuff, this is just hovering back to standard Super Sentai fanfare. Here's hoping that next week brings back some course correction as we see Jiro embrace the dark side and finally transform into Dan Bolt. Black Kaito may be doing things, and the Noto featuring Sononi versus Dan Murasame. And all the no's you can handle. Can it just be next week already? So, what did you all think on this week's Dan Brothers? Mid? Mid. More voice actor promos? Yep. I know that all the hype is going to end up going into next week for the most part, but I'll temper my expectations since I don't want it to end up like last week's episode. So, that being said, that's it for me. I will catch you all on the next one. Bye.